Soldier makes a bold move in a Taco Bell after two strangers walk in.
Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
All too often, people get so wrapped up in their own lives that they forget to pay kindness forward. When this happens, it quickly becomes clear just how important those little acts of love truly are. No one knows this better than Robert Risden, a soldier who, upon walking into a Taco Bell late one rainy night, spotted two strangers who looked a little off. When the dark reality of the situation became clear, he wasted no time jumping into action. Army Lieutenant Colonel Robert Risden was heading home from work when he realized he was hungry. It was late, around 9:30 p.m., so he pulled into the nearest fast food restaurant to have a quick dinner, a decision that would end up affecting more people than he knew. He walked in and was greeted by the late dinner rush. Thanks to the pouring rain, everyone in the restaurant looked wet, cold, and all around miserable. Because of this, when two soaking wet figures walked in, they weren't welcomed by smiles. Robert watched the duo go from table to table, mumbling something to each annoyed customer, all of whom quickly brushed them away. The closer they got to Robert's table, the more curious he became. See, it soon became clear that the mysterious strangers were really just young boys. Robert watched as the taller of the two boys shoved his hands into his pockets. It was dinner time, but it was obvious that they weren't there to eat. Robert thought about the other customers. He had no clue what the boys had asked them, but by their annoyed expressions, it must not have been a pleasant interaction. Even the cashier looked nervous. Still, as they got closer, he only felt one thing: empathy. "I can't even count the number of times I was cold, wet, and hungry in the army," he said. Having been stationed in Saudi Arabia, he was no stranger to hunger or extreme cold, and it was clear that these boys had felt their share of both. These boys weren't even in a foreign country, they were right there in rural Alabama, clearly in need of some help. It wasn't until they got to Robert's table that he finally found out what they were asking everyone about. "Do you want to buy some candy?" they asked him. For a moment, Robert was stunned. Of all the questions they could have asked, this was the least expected. He could tell by their slumped stances that they were exhausted. Because of this, he dreaded giving them his answer. "I don't have any cash," he said honestly. He watched the boys nod and start to walk away, until he asked them a question that stopped them right in their tracks. "Can you boys finish off 10 tacos?" he asked. They both nodded, and Robert brought the boys up to the counter to buy them whatever they wanted. When he started talking to them, he learned how they ended up soaking wet and selling candy. It turned out that the boys had been trying to raise funds for their local church by walking and selling all the candy they could door to door. When he asked if they had eaten, the older boy simply shook his head. Robert was touched by their intentions and admired them for working so hard. These were kids who were determined to help others, even if it meant skipping meals and getting wet in the rain. As a soldier, Robert had been in similar situations himself. Unknown to Robert, another customer in the restaurant caught on to what was happening. Jason Gibson knew he was witnessing a rare good deed at work, so he quickly grabbed his phone and started to record the interaction. The younger boy tried to salute Robert with one hand while clutching his taco in the other. The older boy just kept saying thank you, all while Gibson filmed. Little did the trio know, Gibson had plans for the video. It wasn't long after Gibson posted the video that it went viral. Thousands of people were inspired by Robert's actions, and by the happy grins on each of the boys' faces. Clearly, though, not everyone had the impulse Robert had to help the boys. According to Robert, his own reason for helping goes back to how he was raised. "Throughout my childhood, I was around people who taught me there's more to life than taking care of yourself," Robert said. As a father, he's raising his kids with the same mentality. Being kind and helpful is second nature to Robert, so all the praise he's received about the viral video feels strange, to say the least. "I'm kinda embarrassed and humbled by the praise," he said, before going on to explain his motive. "It seemed like a very small gesture I could do for two kids that were trying to make some money in the rain on a school night," he said. Before leaving, he gave the boys advice that they will probably never forget. "When you're older and you're in a position to help someone out, don't pass it up," he told them. Although Robert was the one helping out this time around, the boys touched Robert's heart in a way he didn't expect. "They inspire me as much as I may have made them feel good by just filling their bellies a little bit," Robert said. If you're wondering how to inspire a soldier like Robert, it may be as simple as showing others respect and gratitude. Robert and the two boys are living reminders to pay kindness forward. I am a believer that we live in the best country in the world with the best people, and that acts of kindness happen every day, Robert said. After his years of service, Robert honestly thought he'd seen it all. Please share this with your friends and family.